So, The Amazing Digital Circus. It's out in theaters most of the worldwide, if I believe correctly. I kind of just avoided everything around, social media around Digital Circus as soon as the leaks happened. So, I was able to go into this almost completely blind. Which, might I say, was a wonderful experience. Normally, I don't care about spoilers. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. This is going to be a spoiler discussion, so those of you who are waiting for the digital release, come back to me in about 2 weeks. It'll be worth the wait. Trust me, it really will. But to those of you who have seen the movie already or do not care about spoilers, let me just say that movie was fucking awesome, am I right? Holy shit. I can't be too loud because it is like midnight when I got back. There was some trouble with finding the showing because one of them got canceled. The one that I bought tickets to 2 months ago, it got canceled like the other day. So I got to the theater and I had to zip over to a theater like 15 minutes away, caught the showing just in time, and was able to see it. So that's great. Now fuck you, Regal Corporate. But the movie itself, first reactions, like, I always have this tendency to think things were really great the moment I saw them, and then my opinion kind of sours about it, in the coming days. But no, I watched some reviews videos on the way home that had some negative things to say about it, and I legitimately still think it's like a 10 out of 10. I don't care. This movie was really, really good. This final episode, legitimately peak. I predicted some things wrong amongst friends and my own personal theories about it, and I am so happy that I was wrong because it was so much better than anyone was predicting it would be. First things first, the most important thing, Zooble and Gangle, they're gay, they're fucking happy pride. That's a single gag in the end credits scene that I know some artist was just like, you know what I can do? I can make them fuck. I can make them fuck in the end credits. Ooh, and it was so good. It's so good. But the rest of the episode started off strong. Obviously with the whole build-up of episode 8, I was kind of just sitting through episode 8 like, alright, I've seen this thing like 5-7 times. I gotta get through this. It wasn't a slog. Episode 8's great. It's awesome. But I was just like, let's get to episode 9. Come on, let's go. And starting off with the version of the opening without Caine and Bubble, amazing way to start it off. Everyone's sad. Everyone's really sad. And they linger on it for a bit. Jax gets to be an asshole about it. But then Kinger just kind of gets to be the unsung best character in this show. I'm not picking favorites. Jax has always been my favorite. That's just kind of like personal relatability stuff. I'll get into him later. I'll talk about him later. He needs his own section of this. This is fully unscripted. This is just off the dome. I tried to record it once and I just broke down crying. We'll talk about that later too. But Kinger and Pomni and everyone, they start trying to rebuild. And they bond, and Kinger tells Pomni that he's never seen anyone adjust so quickly to the circus, which is really heartwarming. That's a word that I'd use to describe this entire episode. Heartwarming. Really, really happy. At least through most of it, which was really strange. There was a lot of crying, and a lot of sad tears, and a lot of pain. But I came out of this with a renewed hope and joy for the world that I'm in, which, I'm jumping the gun. I'm heavily jumping the gun, but I was, thinking back on it, I was getting all of this stuff off rip with this opening scene of episode 9 of just, there's so much good within all of these people. Everyone. Kinger, Pomni especially, these two. But Ragatha, Zooble, Gangle, and Jax, and Ribbit and Kaufmo, all of them have so much good within them. And, looking back on the show, I'll save that for a bit. But just know that I feel like that's a big overarching theme of this entire series that wasn't really talked about, was the good that there is in humanity. But getting on further in the episode, we eventually get to Jax just unceremoniously abstracting, which was a shock, but I respect it. Honestly, good on them for not giving us a full, oh, I'm Jax, and I'm breaking down about everything. We got enough of that. We had enough of that. But we get Pomni instead, just immediately, figuring out, how do we fix this? How do we solve this? And how do we do what's right for Jax? Because, everyone else is mourning the effect that Jax has had on them, rightfully so. Gangle is unable to cry for him, which, she doesn't need to. Jax doesn't deserve that. As much as I like him as a character, he does not deserve an ounce of sympathy from any of these people. And yet, after Pomni and Ragatha have a very so good. They have a really touching moment together where Ragatha just talks about how her relationship with Jax devolved over time, and what it was like from her perspective, and how Pomni has been from her perspective on all of this, how much of a good influence that she's been, how much of a positive force on the circus that she's been. And I'm gonna cry again. I'm gonna cry. I feel it coming on. We'll cry for a third fucking time tonight. Pomni and Ragatha have this beautiful hug that just goes on for, I feel like it goes on for a full minute or more of them hugging in this. And at this point in the episode, the circus is entirely grayscale still. It's still dreary and dull. But the lighting, as they start to, get all warm and fuzzy, and eventually as they hug, there's this soft pink light that comes over the entire, not actually over the entire scene. The background is still gray, just over Ragatha and Pomni. Just their bodies are framed in this pink light that is only on them. And even as they separate and they say, hey, I'm going to go see what I can do for Jax. I'm going to see what I can do for everyone else. I'm going to continue being this light. They're basically, as they're going away from each other, just looking at each other so fondly. You can see that pink light is still just on them. And even in this oppressive gray environment, human connection has brought color back into this world. And I know, of course I'm talking about colors. It's what I do. But this show uses them so beautifully. And I guess it's for relevant themes later, it is a red. It's like a very soft pink. But it is red, which will become important once we get into Jax. Here's where it is. So Jax, in all likelihood, abstracted because he found out from Kinger that they were all brain scans. That theory is absolutely correct. They're brain scans, and whoever they are out in the world have been living their own lives this whole time. And Jax could not take this, presumably, and abstracted, as we all thought he was going to do. I'm so glad that we didn't get evil Jax. That we didn't get I'm gonna be evil Caine and I'm gonna torture you all because I'm Jax and I'm the main villain. We didn't get that. Instead, we got something much more personal, where Jax... Well, no, Pomni's the one doing most of this, but she manages to get into Jax's mind by turning off all the lights in the hallway that abstracted Jax is in, shrouding him in darkness, and hugging him. That's a big thing in this episode. A lot of hugs. So many hugs. And I'm not complaining at all. I love hugs. Hugs are so good. And you know what? You know, solving the problems of this episode with the power of fucking hugging. Beautiful. Like, it is the sappiest, most wholesome shit I've ever seen, and it's the best. It's the best. And Pomni goes into this, journey into the center of the mind with Jax, and she sees all of these different facets of Jax in how he perceives everyone else. And I'll just break down the individual vignettes. I still got them off the dome. In one of them, how he sees Pomni, he strangles her to death, or he tries, but he like chokes her until she can't really breathe, and he says, "What? Remember, we can't die from oxygen deprivation," emphasizing how he just views Pomni as this gullible sucker who's going to try no matter what, even though he is the worst and the most evil and the most despicable person. She's gonna foolishly, naively try to help him. And that's one vignette. And then Pomni looks into another, and Pomni isn't in that scene as much as she's watching Jax strangle his exaggerated version of Pomni, which is just so sweet and so caring and so trying to help, even though she's such an idiot. And then he looks into Gangle. This might be out of order, but he looks into Gangle's, and Gangle's wearing the mask from episode 4, and she's trying to have this funeral for Zooble because Zooble abstracted, and she's gonna make it the best darn funeral that there ever was. And Jax comes out in the maid outfit from episode 5. Amazing. And he's like, "I'm gonna honor Zooble with gender fuckery because Zooble's non-binary." And then he flirts with Gangle and says to come by his room later, and that he knows that she loves him wearing the maid outfit, which is interesting. That was probably the most, like, I laughed at that moment because it's like very comedic how it's played, but it has some like weird implications. Like, not only that, because remember, all of this is Jax's perspective on the other members of the circus, and eventually when Pomni gets out of all of these vignettes, the versions of Jax that are in all of these, because keep in mind, there are also exaggerated versions of himself in these scenes. They all say, "Oh yeah, no, these are taken to the extreme because that's how we like to live life. Isn't life lived better at the extremes?" And his extreme view of Gangle is some kind of like insecure loser who, despite all of her, her crying and her refusing and her protesting, is in love with Jax and wants him, which is, obviously a weird scene to see play out, but you can tell it's Jax wanting to be loved. It's him wanting this, wanting wanting Gangle to be attracted to him because he clearly finds her attractive. You can see it in like how this version of him, the maid outfit Jax, the like sexual lewd version of him, if you will, is attracted to Gangle and wants her, and she wants him, even though she's like, "Oh no, I could never," and then she blushes and everything, and then she gets all flustered about it. And you can tell that it's something that Jax wants, but he can never let himself have. It's this part of him that is so deeply repressed that clearly what resulted from that was his blatant abuse of Gangle. And that is what, it's a very complicated tangle of emotions, as I imagine it would be for someone of Jax's mental state. But it was strangely very revealing about exactly what kind of person that Jax is. And we've been getting more and more of this, but that specifically was like, okay, he sees himself as this evil big villain person who's gonna kill Pomni and just be the wide-eyed, like soulless, crazed lunatic that he is. But also there's this part of him that wants love and that has been forced to be twisted by this other version of himself that has made him into this strange, perverted loser in his own right. Like, he's projecting all of his own characteristics onto Gangle. He is the strange, perverted loser. And maybe Gangle is to an extent, but he's like actually like a freak. I hate to say it, he's a freak. And then you see this like version, the Looney Tunes, the comic relief character, the funny one, if you will, that version of Jax, doing this whole Looney Tunes bit with Zooble, where he can see that he doesn't take them seriously at all, that they're just this character who they just hate Jax because that's their bit. They hate Jax, and they're the Wile E. Coyote to my Roadrunner. They're the Elmer Fudd to my Bugs Bunny. It's so funny. And then we get to this room with all the different versions of Jax, and there's this sad Jax playing Daisy Bell on the piano, which is a lovely callback. And eventually Jax does say that he only knows 2 songs on the piano, and one of those is Daisy Bell, apparently, because that's what he was playing. And it made me think while I was watching, because there's obviously so much going on, but I was like, there's a reason that he started singing Daisy Bell with Pomni, because that's one of the few songs that he knows how to play on piano. And he got that, apparently he just heard Caine singing it. It has this greater relevance. Because obviously Daisy Bell was in that episode because, Caine sang it to annoy Zooble. Because, there's the whole like, IBM, whatever, that sang Daisy Bell with the voice synthesis. And that's obviously a very, very interesting callback for Caine to have. And then Zooble to get annoyed by it. And then Jax to have his own separate personal connection to Daisy Bell. It was one of those, I was like, wow, that's really cool. That's really sick. And then, all these other versions of Jax are having this, poker game. It's obviously so unserious. And then one of them, they all say reality's stupid, and the gender fucky Jax says reality's gay. Which told me exactly what kind of was another one of those. That's exactly the kind of person that I know Jax was in real life. That's his facade, his excuse. Which we're getting up to the moment that I really want to talk about. But then Pomni opens the final door, and we see real life footage of presumably from Jax's perspective, and it's all of the little flashes from episode 7, but longer, no dialogue, but longer. And we see that he's on the run, and he's living on the streets, he's homeless. Jax outright says that. And eventually we get to, in my opinion, the best part of the episode, the best part of, I'm hesitating to say the series, because it's, it's a very big, very expansive series with a lot of really good moments, but it was so good in the moment, seeing it. And I'll have to revisit this once the episode releases digitally and I can rewatch it. But we get a bunch of memories of Jax and Ribbit, and it's beautiful. And we see them becoming friends, and Ribbit rubbing off on Jax and being this, and Kaufmo says, "Oh, she's gonna corrupt ya," which is what Ragatha says Jax is doing to Pomni in episode 6, which was like, those one was like, oh, that's really interesting. It's really cool. But the big moment is when Jax gives his spiel about, I don't want this to turn into just a summary, but I'm trying to interject my analysis on this throughout. Ribbit says, Ribbit's trying to get Jax to tell that she trusts him, by revealing that she regrets running away from her very Mormon family. And then Jax reveals that his parents divorced, and put a long story short, because it's a very dramatic scene. You've seen it, right? You've seen it. That he pushed his mother over after an argument and she didn't get up, and he ran away, and never came back. And then eventually he ended up in the circus, so we never learned how she turned out. And we don't learn that. We don't learn how she turned out. Just know that Jax ran away. Or, to jump the gun a little bit, Leroy ran away in the real world and then ended up in the circus somehow. We don't know how they ended up in the circus, which is fine. We didn't need to know that. It's better keeping the mystery, honestly. And then Ribbit puts her bow onto Jax's head, which there was a line that he said where if he showed weakness, he was less of a man. And he says it with this confusion on his face. And here's where I want to talk about fucking trans Jax theory. So much juicy lore, and none of it was confirmed, and it's so much better that way because we can keep speculating on it. Because Ribbit puts this bow on Jax and just wordlessly he starts blushing about it. You can tell there's a part of him that's like, huh, this feels really good. But then he immediately shoves it off. He's like, nope, putting up my walls. Completely shoves Ribbit away. Ribbit abstracts. They all fall apart. Jax becomes the asshole, the menace that he is. And then as soon as Ribbit abstracts, Gangle arrives. And you can see oh, that's how. And we even see that Jax is the one to say, give Gangle her name, because he says it's pathetic, like she is. And that's where it all started for him, his villain arc. But Pomni pushes through all this, seeing all of these memories, and just finds the real Jax standing in front of the street lamp with this soft red light, the same color as the hug with Ragatha. Jax tries to push her away. He's standing far away from her, and he says, no, you're making this way too complicated. Stop. Why are you here? Why are you still here? You've seen all of it. Why are you still trying to do anything but push me away? You shouldn't. And Pomni responds by not listening to any of what he's saying, any of his self-debasement, and just hugs him. And he relents, and he hugs her back, and you get the feeling that he almost could have reverted from being an abstraction. You get the feeling that he almost could have been saved, but he says he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to leave. He feels like he's gonna die, and he starts freaking out about it. Not in a bad way. You can just feel that this is a lot for him. And yeah, there we go. I'm crying again. And, he doesn't get saved. The abstracted Jax trips on one of the flashbangs from the We Have Guns episode. And he ends up going back into abstraction form, and everyone saves Pomni from, getting taken out with him. And they all collectively work together to put Jax into this dark tent so he can be calm and won't hurt anyone. And just seeing Jax in the moment, with the lighting, there was another thing. In that moment, as soon as Pomni starts reassuring him, and they're hugging, and they're both hugging each other. Where in Ragatha's case, there was the pink light that was introduced into this grayscale environment. In Jax's case, the pink light was already there, and they're all bathed in pink. But then when they start hugging, there's this blue light that shines from the other side, and you get the red and blue. And that's why I was saying that pink, it's red. it's the same red and blue that's been there the entire time in Pomni and Jax. And then after that, they put Jax in the tent, and that's basically all of it for Jax. He stays in there for the rest of the episode because there's nothing really more to do with him. They don't save him. They just let him rest. And that's really all he needs. I have complicated feelings about it. I wanted him to be saved. I like him. I kind of wish he could have gotten a happier ending, but I feel like it's better for everyone that he got that ending for him. And then we pivot to Caine, who didn't die, apparently. He just got sent to the void, which I guess makes sense. If he was deleted, he was just moved to the trash, which was the void, just out of the circus. And Bubbles, not Bubble anymore, it's just a bubble. It's a very long sequence that was it's very hard to describe because it's very abstract. Go figure. But basically, we see overlaid the red dot that was Caine at the very beginning in the black space that we saw at the beginning of episode 8, and we see it flying towards the folder of neural scans of all of the people at the beginning of the circus, like Scratch and Kanger and Queenie and everyone. And at the same time, we see Caine, fully realized Caine in the void, flying towards an exit door that instead of exit says, I think Blue Street Cafe free Wi-Fi, which again, blue, important color. Blue probably, here's my little theory, mini theory, that red represents the digital and blue represents the literal, the real world. There's more I can say about that. I'll probably make a mini little color theory video on it once the full episode releases and I can rewatch it.
Well, looks like I had more to say after all. I want to keep this section pretty short, just because the color theory in the Digital Circus is pretty simple. It only really amounts to red, blue, and yellow, the primary colors, go figure, even though you'd think it'd be green, since it's, digital in computer screens. Go watch my Mexis FNAF theory video if you want to learn more about how digital color works versus physical color. For Pomni and Jax, their colors are very interesting because Pomni is red and blue with a little bit of yellow on her, and Jax is pink, purple, and yellow. You could call it red, but again, like I said before, pink is a different version of red, but there's some distinct qualities to it, because if red represents the digital and blue represents reality, the pink kind of represents a less saturated version of the digital. Clearly the reason Jax is wearing no blue is because he doesn't allow any reality into his facade. He is an entirely fake character. And I think that's what the purple represents. It's his artificiality. It's his mask that he wears, which you can also kind of see in Ragatha, because she also sort of puts up some walls and some, fake nicey-niciness about her to guard herself and protect her vulnerable spots, emotionally speaking, which is an interesting visual parallel between Jax and Ragatha, which, everybody always is they're the two polar opposites, but there's a lot more similarities between them than you may think. But Jax and Pomni, they both have red, and they both have yellow, but whereas Pomni has blue because of her core of, genuity? Is that a real word? I'm not looking it up. Pomni is so genuine, so real, whereas Jax has nothing. But when Pomni hugs Jax, you get that red and blue lighting that I was talking about, where she's introducing, finally, this genuine element into Jax's life, and he can't shy away from it. And it's probably the one good thing that ever happens to him. And I feel like that is what the entire red and blue dichotomy across the entire series has been leading up to is this moment where Jax has both red and blue lighting on him to match Pomni as both digital and real. Because, you've seen it throughout the entire series. The bit in episode 6 where Jax is standing in front of a red square and Pomni's standing in front of a blue square, where it's like, ooh, it's they're at odds at this moment and whatever like that, ideologically speaking. But no, it's because Jax is refusing to let go of his persona and keep up this fakeness about him, and Pomni is trying to be genuine and trying to be friends with him, but it doesn't work because he's still in red mode. And when she gets to his little mind void, all the light is red. It's pink because like with Ragatha, he wants to be loved, and that's something you see with Gangle. He wants the light of love in his life, but he's unable to accept it. It's still red, where Pomni then is able to bring in the blue. Also, I don't know how I didn't realize this, but it's literal pink and blue lighting, and then he turns white. It's the fucking trans flag colors. It's more trans Jax shit. Oh my god. But that's what you see throughout the entire series. Everyone has this red and blue. Ragatha has red hair and a blue button on her eye. Caine has the red and blue eyes. Sure, both of them are digital AIs, so there might be a little more nuance to it than I'm, putting forward here. This is one narrow interpretation of it, but still, everyone's got this. Anyway, back to the video. I hope I didn't take myself too long.
But the important thing is that Caine has to do the same thing in both the beginning when he finds the neural scans and the present when he finds the free Wi-Fi. He has to make these he has to overcome these obstacles. First, he's unable to fly over this ledge, and so he has to make these little objects that he can use as stairs. And you can see it's the created AI in him, and then he has to overcome firewalls, so he does that, and he figures out a way to do it, and he continues to innovate and develop methods in both the past and the present. And then in both instances, he makes it to his destination. And in the neural scans folder, he then uses those scans, because they're just raw data at this point in the void. It's just a folder in a computer. And from there, he puts it into the circus. And then that, you see Scratch, which his name is Mike Dobby, I think. You see Scratch pop into the circus, and you're like, whoa, okay, that's the beginning of the circus. Cool. And then in the present, you see Caine, fully realized, as opposed to just the red AI, find the names of all of the present people in the circus. So I think it's Abigail, Zoe, Susie, Grant, Leroy, and Riley, which is Abby is Pomni, Susie is Ragatha, Grant is Kinger, Leroy is Jax, Zoe is Gangle, and Riley is Zooble. And he sees real images of them and their social media profiles and articles about them and pictures of them. And he comes back to the circus. Oh, first, he takes the blue AI out of him, and we don't see it fully realize. We just see this blue circle, and Caine lets it go. And it leaves. That's it. That's all we see. And we could have gotten a whole, here's the blue AI, but all we get is that it resents Caine and the humans and everything. It has this hate in it. And Caine just says, we can't exist like this. And so he lets it free, and then it just leaves. No fanfare, no anything. And that's it. But then Caine comes back, and he gets to everyone, and they're distrustful, but he says, hey, no, I'm not here to do anything. I don't have the power that I used to. I'm just here, and I want to reveal the truth of everything to you guys, if you'll have it. And I want to give you, all of you, the power to do what you want, when you want, how you want. And they take it, and Caine shows everyone their real names, their real faces. And, Caine, after all of it, says, so, Abigail, what do we do now? And Abigail, Pomni, says, you know, Abigail's outside in the real world. In here, I'm just Pomni. And it's so simple. It's just that. I'm not even simplifying it too much. She just says, Abigail's out there. In here, I'm just Pomni. And that's it. It's so simple, but it's so effective. That's all you needed to. That's all she needed to say. And Pomni, Ragatha, Zooble, Gangle, and Kinger. No Jax. Just he's abstracted in the tent. They all rebuild the circus, and by this point, it's gone back to its full color because everyone is happy, and that's how it ends. The final few shots are very relevant. There's four big scenes after the montage where they all make sure Jax is okay in his tent, and Zooble, Gangle first. This whole time Gangle has not been interacting with abstracted Jax at all. Even when they were all saving Pomni and Jax and everything, Gangle wasn't present. But then as Caine sort of helps with making this tent to put Jax in, and they close the covers on it, and that's it for Jax, Gangle is off in the distance and she runs away to her room, and Zooble follows her, and it's so quick. Gangle's just crying, and she can't form words because it's so much. And Zooble just says, "Are you having some complex thoughts?" And Gangle's like, yeah, I am. And Zooble just says, "We're all human." And they hug. So many hugs. They play some games, they go on adventures, and Zooble opens a bar, and Gangle shows Caine her drawings, and Ragatha wins a baseball game with the Gloink Queen, who gives her motherly love. And the ending for everyone is they're all at a round table eating food, all of which looks more like real food, and everyone has a different meal that's clearly specified to their tastes. And Pomni smiles, and the final shot of before the credits is Pomni just walking away, looking up at us, and walking off into the distance. And that's it for the Digital Circus. And then the very last shot is all of the real life versions of everyone just silently, coincidentally, randomly meeting at a bus stop, getting on a bus. None of them even really look at each other. They just kind of meet at this public bus stop, get on a bus, and it drives off, and that's it. You can tell I'm very emotional right now because it's a very, very affecting finale to this strange, absurd show, and it made me feel so good that a show that in recent times has been mired in so much controversy can end so happily and just let everyone be happy. In the bit where Caine's telling everyone about the real world, there's some narration by Pomni where she explains everyone and what they're doing, and they're all having a good life. Everyone's happy in the real world and in the circus. And it made me think, as I was driving back, it's okay for everyone to be happy. We didn't have to get this super sad ending. Even Jax, in the real world, he got a stable job and he's doing okay, and he has friends, even if you can tell he's still struggling. And it's the same in the circus. He's at peace as an abstraction, and that's okay. And yeah, right before I end this video, there was, as Pomni was hugging Jax, there is a little montage of every single moment that Pomni and Jax had together over the entire series. And there's a heavy focus on Jax, It's all these silent little flashes, and the song playing over it is Isn't She Lovely? And that was where I cried in the theater as I saw this send-off to Jax's character with Isn't She Lovely? And you could tell it wasn't just about Pomni, it was about Jax too. This completely subtextual part of his character, or you know what, her character, that these little moments where Jax was uncomfortable with the main outfit, but you could tell that Jax just really deep down enjoyed it and wanted that to be who she was. You know, I always feel weird, you know, doing this whole trans theory and being like, oh yes, she. Clearly it's, you know, I'm gonna refer to Jax as she. But it feels deserved. It feels earned in a way. Because there were every single moment of Jax and Pomni being happy over Isn't She Lovely? And you know what? She is. She is lovely. Despite all of the fucked up shit that Jax did to everyone in that series. At the end of it, we're all human and we're all lovely. And that's the biggest takeaway that I could get, is we're all lovely people despite all of the bad things that we all do. Ever since really the start, when I got into this series, which is like episode 1, I've always thought that Jax was really, really compelling character. And as I got to know more about her, I started to relate very heavily to Jax. And I couldn't help but see myself in this, you know, who I was before I, you know, realized that before I started my transition, before I realized that I was trans, that I was this, you know, repressed, sad, lonely person despite having friends and people who loved me. Someone who pushed people away because I didn't want to be who I truly was or admit that anything about who I truly was around people. But, you know, I'm here now. I'm happy. I'm so happy to be alive in the world that we're in today, despite all of its flaws, despite all of my flaws. And it's amazing to be able to see that, to see the good and the bad of the trans experience so subtly, and then so overtly in this character, in Jax. And it's fucking beautiful. And it's such a good way to start off Pride Month. And so, as this video is, you know, probably nearing on 50 minutes, it's 44 minutes in my recording timer, but who knows, when I edit this down, it'll probably be a little shorter. But I hope that everyone who's made it this far has an absolutely amazing June, an absolutely amazing Pride Month, and just an absolutely amazing life. Because that's what we all need. That's what we all deserve. Don't we all deserve to be happy, even in a stagnant life? However stagnant it may be. That's what the digital circus was about. That's what Gooseworx said it was about. Finding happiness in a stagnant life. And so, with that, remember, one day, you're going to die. You know, when I say one day you're going to die, at the end of every video, it's not to remind you of this morbid fact of life, as much as it is to remind you that you only get one, and to live that life to the best that it can possibly be, So remember, you're going to die. Remember. Keep it in mind. And use that knowledge to be the best version of yourself that you can be.